Hello and good day, everybody. It's Drew, and I want to welcome you back to Learn How to See Better, the only podcast out there that'll improve your vision the longer you listen. And you're in for a treat today, and I'm feeling so blessed and so excited to be able to share with you some thoughts that I had today that I thought would be important and very relevant to all of us. One of the things you may notice in this audio recording that I don't want to necessarily apologize for is the background ambiance of Mother Nature, as I am fortunate enough to be on a luxury cruise in the East Caribbean Sea. How does that sound for a mouthful? It sounds funny to even say it. And those are the winds that you hear. That's the water you hear in the background. The sun just rose a little bit ago, and I'm out here soaking in some of the fresh ocean air. And I wanted to start with that to help wrap your head around some of the visual elements of this experience. As I look out, there's water as far as the eye can see while I'm at sea. Pretty cool, right? But I'll be honest with you, I didn't envision this moment just 1 year ago. I couldn't see it in my mind. I just figured it'd be the start of another year, and I'm of course had positive outlook, because one of my personal mottos is positive outlook, positive outcome. So I had a very positive outlook on what 2019 was going to look like. But now it's 2020, and it's so important to make sure that we have a clear vision about where we want to go in life. And I think that's probably the key thing that I want to share a few experiences with you about, because that's really the focus of today's episode, is 2020 vision. Pretty catchy, right? It's the year 2020. 2020 vision means you see things clearly, and you've got that perfect amount of clarity in your world with regard for the vision of your life. And that's really the angle that I want to approach this with, is talking about the vision we have in our lives and making sure that we all have clarity around it. Because you know what? It's January 2020, and what's present in everyone's mind right now is New Year's resolutions, right? And I'm not here to beat up on New Year's resolutions or compare those to goals, and why goal setting and goal getting is a much more effective means to really start to shape your life. But hey, I just started with this episode with my confession. I didn't have a vision of being on one of the largest luxury cruise liners, sailing to different islands in the Caribbean Sea 12 months ago. But what I've experienced in the very short time I've been on this massive vessel is that the clarity of vision that we have in our world is going to be one of the key guiding lights that we have to propel us through this personal journey that we are all experiencing, right? And I think that while it is great for us to have New Year's resolutions, and many of us do, so don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that New Year's resolutions are bad, but let's break down the idea of what we're really hoping for, or maybe a better way, even if you haven't really embraced, setting goals, setting smart goals yet, and you're just saying, hey, look, I'm just trying to learn how to see better. I'm just trying to have a better experience in my world. And one of the things I found is that we will generally have, when we set up New Year's resolutions for ourselves, they're kind of like micro visions, right? They're like, I want to make more money this year. I want to lose a few pounds this year. I want to find the special someone. I want to, get that promotion. I want to, move up from JV to varsity, right? It could be anything as far as some sort of upgrade in your life or some sort of enhancement in your current status. And we say that we want these things, but what I'm here to do is challenge us and say, do we really see it in our minds? Do we actually take the time to say, hey, what does life look like for me when I'm X amount of pounds heavier or lighter, or if I've got X number of additional dollars in the bank account, or if I've got the special someone in my life? We say things that sound like they're what we want, but are we actually envisioning them? Okay, maybe you want to, I don't know, maybe you want a luxury sports car, right? You want to drive a Ferrari. But have you taken the time to close your eyes and determine, okay, it's classic Ferrari red, right? And it's got that peanut butter leather interior, right? And can you see your hands wrapping around the steering wheel? Can you see the dashboard, right? Can you see some of these things? Can you picture yourself, racing down the Autobahn, somewhere on a international racetrack, right? Or even in the case of something more basic and close to home, right? If fitness and personal health, have you taken the time to envision yourself with an enhanced shape or size, larger or smaller, right? Not saying one better than the other. But the point is actually seeing the thing that you say you want, envisioning it, creating that image in your mind. It's funny, one of the things I think about when we talk about vision, let's use athletics as an analogy. There's the study that many of you have maybe heard about. I think it was John Wooden, one of the great basketball coaches, that put his players through a drill where I think there was 2 or 3 groups of people. One group, shot basketball free throws all through practice, right? Let's say it was 100 free throws, 1,000 free throws. I don't want to butcher the analogy, but get the point that they shot a lot of free throws so that they can improve that skill. Okay, well and good. And then there was another group that had no ball, and they just went through the motion of shooting the free throw X number of times, okay? And then there was the group that had no basketball, and they didn't even go through the motion of shooting. They just closed their eyes and visualized the exact same action the first 2 people were taking. And long story short, once this experiment was completed, they went back and looked at the results of the 3 groups. It's like, okay, now go shoot each of the 3 groups, go shoot, 100 free throws. And it was amazing to see that, the group that had just shot the free throws in their mind, that had envisioned and visualized going through the steps, the processes, they were the ones that actually had, I believe, the largest level of improvement. All of them got better, obviously, right? You make up in number what you lack in skill. But the group that had just visualized and had a clear vision about being able to execute a certain task had the highest result, the highest increase in performance. And I thought, wow, but they never picked the ball up. They never actually shot the free throw. You know what? The mind doesn't necessarily know the difference, right? The mind doesn't necessarily know the difference. So if you can hang on to that vision that you have for your life, and if you can really project yourself into a different state of consciousness frequently enough, that you have these clear visions, clear images in your mind, it's as though your actions are going to be subconsciously guided to attract those things to you. The universe is going to line up, and your actions, your determinations are going to fall in line with that, and the obstacles will remove themselves, and some unfixed amount of time you will achieve that thing that you've been constantly manifesting in your world. And that's so powerful, and we just don't give it enough credit. And we might be aware of it, and we might give it credit, and okay, I did want to up my free throw percentage by 2%. Okay, great. Well, I'm not talking about just a regular improvement. I'm talking about a magnitude shift in your world. And how do you do that? Well, one is just having that clarity of what you want your life to look like. So there is one of the key examples that I've seen play a role. When I get back to the fact of where I'm at right now and the experience that I'm sharing with you, being on this cruise ship, I happen to be surrounded by a whole bunch of successful entrepreneurs, and I find that pretty thrilling for a couple of reasons. One, because it's not often that you get to have an experience like this where you have a group of like-minded individuals that have all taken the time out of their day and put a pause on just the regular hustle and bustle to come together and really, have fellowship, break bread, put their minds together, mastermind, and create new ideas, new thoughts, new visions, or enhance their current visions. And what was so rewarding about that for me is the idea that it's allowing me to, in many ways, level up my own network, right? I've got a lot of strong and positive relationships in my world, but that doesn't mean I'm not open to adding new relationships in my world, other relationships that will enhance the quality of my own life. People that you meet that might share a nugget of wisdom with you that just shifts your perspective a couple of degrees and maybe helps you to clarify your vision. As a matter of fact, there's one individual that was sharing part of his story, and he was saying that one of the biggest lessons he learned in 2018 that had a magnitude impact on 2019 was similar to this, was getting very, very, very clear about where he wanted to go in his life and in his business. And he was actually able to use that laser-like focus to be a great shield, a great protector, a great filter for all sorts of opportunities that have come his way. And I thought that was a very potent statement because, many times we all have the tendency or the desire to maybe do things that we wouldn't ordinarily agree to do, but we want to, maybe we want to please others, maybe we want to make other people happy, maybe we want to be well liked, and so we might be saying yes to things that aren't in our vision, that aren't in our plan. And while that may seem like a very noble thing, in many instances that's actually taking us off course, that's actually taking us away from the real goal. And one of the things he was saying that's so important that you have to do is get so clear on your vision that you're attracting the right things and repelling the wrong things. And don't be afraid to say no, because you've got to be able to protect that vision, because everyone's got their own agenda. And what I found in my own experience is the more success I've had in life and business, it's like you'll get some of that recognition, and someone says, hey, I want a slice of that pie, right? Can you help me over here with this? Or, can we team up and do that? Or, would you be able to work with me on this thing? And many times it's like, sure, that sounds great, be happy to. But there are times when we have to be guided and we have to be guarded. And I say it that way because it's not that we don't want to help people, but if we're so focused on helping others that we haven't done enough things to help ourselves and keep ourselves focused on the task at hand, the mission that we have, the vision that we have, that we're just going to be kind of floating aimlessly at sea without any real true north to guide us. And I thought it was so simple, yet so powerful to hear that. And it's as simple as the idea where, sometimes you have to look at opportunities that come your way and say, well, hey, if this isn't in my vision, it's not in my plan. And so I think that the ability for us to visualize, it's like our eyeball muscles. and what does that lead us right back to? The idea that we all have to learn how to see better. And I'm talking about our vision, our clarity of vision for our life, for our world, for our goals, for our dreams, for our family, right? And so when you've got that 20/20 clarity, you're going to find that you are naturally filtering out the other noise. But you've got to be able to envision it. You can't just see the big house on the hill and say, ooh, I want that. Instead of looking up at that hill on the top of the mountain, take some time to close your eyes and visualize looking out of the balcony of that mansion, and enjoying the scenery that you've got in 360 degrees, across the rest of the land. And think of what it feels like to wake up in the massive, master bedroom overlooking, the sun rising into the bedroom and resetting your natural biorhythms and awakening refreshed because you're using the sun's energy to empower you and get your day going, right? You've got to be able to see some of these things. And I'm using, in this case, a materialistic example because it's something that, is easy to use it as an example, right? Okay, everyone's seen a beautiful house before and said it'd probably be nice to live there, right? And some people go a step further and actually start doing things and putting things in their life in place to achieve that. But those that do that typically have a stronger vision, a stronger clarity, a stronger sense of direction about where they want to go. And I think that can be a real game changer in all of our world. If we'll even take something as simple as a New Year's resolution, which can just pop in your head at any moment, and take that resolution and resolve to see it in another light and visualize yourself in the state that you want to be in. If you're trying to achieve in whatever area it is of your life, don't just say, I want to go from a level 2 to a level 10. Visualize what your life is like at level 10. And if you can start to put more focus around that, you are going to start making strides to be able to manifest that level 10 if you can first start to visualize it. You start to visualize it enough and on a consistent enough basis, it's like it gets etched in your brain at a subconscious level. It starts to guide your thoughts, which guides your feelings, which guides your actions, which guides your habits, which guides the results that you receive, and eventually affects your lifestyle. And that's so powerful, and that's one of those things that is often overlooked. And what I've seen personally from electing to level up in one area of my life or the other, it actually started with saying, okay, if I want to go from level A to level B or whatever, whatever accolade I'm looking to seek, if you can visualize yourself, you kind of begin with the end in mind and see that end, and kind of commit to or marry up to the idea of that's actually just waiting on you. It's just waiting on you. And the only thing standing between you and that future vision of yourself is time and dedicated, consistent action, right? And so that clarity is going to lead to you being that much more powerful and being able to accelerate and push towards that, because you're not fumbling around trying to figure out what's more important. Do I want to go engage in one activity that might be fun and relaxing, or do I want to engage in this other activity that may actually help me get closer to my goal, that might help me position myself for greater success? Now, obviously, we all deserve our playtime and getaway time, and I'm no different in that regard than the next person, wanting to make sure I'm actually enjoying the life that I'm living, and not just constantly thinking about a better place and not being present in the moment. So we don't want to confuse the two there, but having that clarity and vision of what you want that end state to be, and actually placing yourself in that end state, and having that clarity of vision and visualize yourself being at that level that you want to get to, is a great simple habit that doesn't cost any money, right? It doesn't cost anything to dream big if you really think about it. So why not use that ability and start to work that dream muscle to help you live a better dream life, right? And so I thought it would be good to share. I've got a lot of inspiration being out here on the ocean and just seeing some beautiful visions, essentially seeing the world, and getting clarity in my own mind about the fact that there is just so much abundance that is available to each and every one of us, regardless of what your life situation looks like right now, right? There's a greater later, as the saying sometimes goes. And it's not like you have to wait till New Year's to start to work on that clarity of vision. At any point, you can tear up the old life script and write up a new one, right? And so we need reminders of that, because statistically speaking, the folks that set their New Year's resolutions, it's hard to find parking at the gym in January, but by the time Valentine's Day rolls around and everybody's done with those box of chocolates, you can get a front row seat and to get your workout on. So many times simple, empty resolutions may not last, but a month or two at most, which is barely 15-16% of the year, if you look at it like that, as far as a slice of the pie. But when you get clarity on your vision and get that 20/20 vision and really start thinking about where you want to be in the future, and not just pipe dreaming like, okay, I want to have this or that or look this way or that way, but wanting it and seeing yourself actually having it are two different things. And getting a 20/20 vision would be one of the best recommendations I could share with you for really starting to live the life of your dreams. And that doesn't have to wait until 20-30 years from now. You can start to live some of your dream life right away. It's just a shift in your philosophy. You might have to lay down some sacred cows or part ways with old ways of stinking thinking that have plagued you up until this point. But the possibility is there for all of us. And I want to make sure that with all the noise that might be out there in the world today, that some of this positivity being shared here in this moment isn't being drowned out. So just one of those friendly reminders from your buddy Drew to say, hey, you can get that 2020 vision for you. You can get that clarity of vision that will help set the sail in your world and put you on the right path to get you to where you really want to be. But if you're not able to see yourself at that end point, to see yourself in a future state, to see yourself in an enhanced, revised, and better vision of yourself, you can even set goals and resolutions as much as you want, but what's the purpose of it if you actually can't visualize yourself being that better version of you? Then there's not really an honesty there with yourself about kind of how you're going about all of this. So I hope this is being something that you can reflect on and think about. What were the lessons that you learned in 2019? What did you like? What did you not like? As you look into 2020, what do you want more of? What do you want nothing to do with? And don't be afraid to look ahead and be a child. Have an imagination. Be a dreamer, right? And take any of those resolutions or goals that you've already set for yourself and start to revisit those and see yourself actually attaining those. See what your life is like, and then make sure that still feels good to you, because sometimes we want certain things for the wrong reasons. You don't want to set your goals or aspirations or resolutions to be something to where just other people like you more. That's not necessarily going to make you feel the greatest. You must look within. It is our own vision that we must hold true to. It is our own vision of a greater self that we want to move towards versus someone else's idea of who we are and what we should be. So make sure that you've got that clarity of focus. Make sure you put a lot of energy into getting your own 2020 vision, because that is going to be one of the things that gives you the clarity that then transfers into focus and power in your world. And you'll see. Stick with it. A year will be here. It'll be January 2021 before you know it. But if you've got that clarity in your vision, things are going to be light years ahead of where they are today for you and your world, even just 1 year from today. So with that, I want to thank you for tuning in. And if this is in line with what you're thinking about and want to hear more of, let me know about it. Drop me a comment, share it with a friend, help me know that I'm on the right track with serving you all and this audience of like-minded thinkers that all want to see better and enhance their vision and clarity. And I will be sure to give you the best nuggets that I can, that I've achieved and have affected my life. And hopefully we'll be able to light some of your candles so you can go forth and do the same and just make this world a better place. So go out there, do your best to be the best version of you, but that best version of you starts with having clear vision. 2020, baby. Let's go get it. Thanks, and have a great day.